recording. Morning. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thanks. Staying alive. Cleaning my boards. I'm glad I'm motivating somebody up there. Yeah, I just started. I should be baking. I'll start baking about 4:30, hopefully. 4:30 or Pacific time, I guess you'd say. Yeah. I just need to go get my bagels. I'm just waiting for my pot to boil. You can see some steam coming off. It's starting to bubble a bit. Today, probably a little bit more than usual because we're having sort of a bagel tour. We have some kids between the ages of 10 and 15 are coming in to make bagels and watch me bake, I guess. And so we're gonna probably be baking a little bit extra. But today, probably 800 to 1,000, I guess, depending on my orders and stuff like that. I think I'm going to be baking a lot of, I have a second baker today too though, that she's going to be helping me. She's training, we baked them in batches, oh there it is. We baked them in batches of 30. So, I guess it's about 30 to 40 batches a day. That's probably not the exact amount. Yeah. I work until 12 or 1 usually. So. Yeah, I might get a little bit overtime today though. Just trying to get my board clean, pretty looking. The other board is it has a bow in it. It's hard to use, so I'm trying to get this one fixed up. This is an older board, I think, and the other bakers haven't been using it. But it has starting to splinter, which isn't a good thing, considering those splinters tend to come off. They're sticking to hands. That was a giant splinter. Oh. No, we ordered the boards from a plywood company. Sorry, I'm out of the camera. I think it's called Windsor Plywood. Here in they have several locations. I think they have a couple of locations in Vancouver and then a couple on the North Shore, or one on North Shore. I don't know. I used to when I worked on the North Shore. At our Lonsdale location, I rode my bike past their lumber yard in the morning. It was down by Rona, which is probably a Lowe's now. I don't know. I've been up that way in a while. No using telephones at work. I'm not technically using it, it's just there we go. That's a pretty clean board. Okay, I'm working. Hello. Sesame seeds. There's some everything mixed. And we got some poppy seeds. We got our multi-grains. There we go. So I just need to move the table there. Move the table. That's a little better. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. I'm about to start baking bagels. Just waiting for my pot here. get some bagels from the bagel place. Okay, I'll do that. cup of steam for you in the morning. Let me do that again. Steam, pure steam. Okay, we're ready to bake. We're ready to bake. Morning. I got my first batch in the pot, and I'm just gonna sweep my oven deck, and I'm gonna recite some poetry. Hamlin Towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city, the river westward deep and wide washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so, from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests of the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last, the people in a body to the town hall came walking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing." At this, the mayor and corporation quaked with the mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown cell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than a too long opened oyster. Save when at noon his paunch would weakness, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat. Anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek, nor beard on chin, but lips where smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great grandsire, starting up with the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, your honor, said he, I am able, by means of secret charm to draw, all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper. And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe to match with his coat of self-same check. And in that scarf then hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fred the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street to Piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young briskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, fall to Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, where it all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to rat man home his commentary, which was, after shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples and wonders ripe into the cider presses ripe, and moving away a picnic top boards, leaving a jar of concert cupboards, and drawing the corks of Trinol flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks. And it seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved, like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as methought it said come for me, I found the Weser rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells as they rocked the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke with the nets and block with the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, Moselle, vin de Gras, Hawk, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay the sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink. and a matter of money to put in your coat. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was a joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime of the head cook's pottage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver, with you don't think I'll bait a stiver, and folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, you think I broke, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture piebald. Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe here till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like the bustling of merry crowds justling at pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and like foals in the farmyard when barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood, as if they're changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye their joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, to where the Weser rolled its waters, whitened the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and took up the Burke Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance a whole of the way. And in after years, if you would blame the sadness, he was used to say, as dull and marred towns as my playmates left, I can't forget it, I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me, for he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was wearing a peacock here, and her dogs outran our fellow deer. And honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came to many a bird of cake, a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich as east lake, as the needle's eye case of Camelin. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, taught the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find it, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, the piper's dances were gone forever, and made a decree that lawyers never think the records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing piper tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hospital or tavern to shock with mirth a street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say that in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were Japan a long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. That is the Pied Piper of Hamelin by Robert Browning in its unabridged entirety. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm a master apprentice to you. Master apprentice. Master novice. The novice master. I'm making Montreal style bagels. Montreal bagels, Vancouver style. Yeah, what am I trying to say? It's an entertaining form of baking, I guess. Form of baking. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. They're on the deck. My first batch is on the deck. Pot, table, boards, oven crate. Pot, table, board, oven crate. I should write a song called Pot, Table, Board, Oven Crate. Hello, I'm Canadian. Welcome to my stream. We are in this beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, on Commercial Drive, live on Commercial Drive. We're live on Commercial Drive. Oh yeah, this one's better. This paddle's way better. I sharpened the edge this morning. It has rigidity, has some flexibility, but not too much. I'm a connoisseur when it comes to my paddles. My shivas, I don't know what they're called. Do another poem. I'm just gonna check the time here. So it must be like 5:30. It's 5 o'clock in British. It's 5 o'clock Pacific time. I bake until 12 o'clock. And I'm going to bake about 1,000 bagels today. I do believe. Is there a better place for that? Where? My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? what saved to waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there. And asked the road, I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track, which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I deterred as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath, freely or outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only prays, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft been writ, so many times among the band of wit, the knights who to dark towers search should rest their steps, that just to fail as they seemed best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its astray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, then pausing throw backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone, great plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went, I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature, nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove, but chortlings purge according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You think a burr had been a treasure trove. No Henry heard a sing grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, it nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else, what made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh forest leaves? Bruised is to balk, all hope of greenness, 'tis a brute must walk, pashing their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, his every bone astare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service in the devil's stud. Alive, he might have been dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and callous neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked and served such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as a man called for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier happier sight. You're weird. Yeah. What a weirdo. I don't. You gotta be a weirdo in this life, man. If you're not a weirdo, you're not gonna achieve anything. You're just gonna make babies and you know. No, I'm not unemployed. You might be though. I bet you anything. Every Hollywood star is a weirdo. Those are the people that make it. I'm a bot. Weirdos. No, I'm Canadian. Canadian. God no. Thank God I'm not American. My God. I have nothing against Americans. I'm just glad I'm not one of them. I think they have a brilliant culture and media and politics for the most part. Just glad I'm not one of them. Our politics up here haven't gotten quite as bad as their politics have gotten. Where was I? Hello, welcome to the stream. I was reciting a poem, and then somebody called me a weirdo, and I had to respond to that. So, yeah, yeah, Canadians are weird. I'm not saying I'm just saying what I'm saying is weird. Being weird is a really beautiful thing, and it should be celebrated and rewarded in life, and it usually is rewarded in life. Most artists and actors and musicians that I admire are weirdos to the heart, to the core. Your poems right now. They're not my poems, by the way. They're Robert Browning's. They're canonical. His poetry is canonical. If you go to university, you'll study Robert Browning. So you're insulting. You're insulting not just. Maybe I don't recite them properly. That I can give you that much, but the poetry is invincible and immortal. So, and your petty opinions won't change my admiration. Whatever. Well, I don't need to defend baking to some internet troll. Jesus. I'm just going to start from the beginning. I lost my place in my poem. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there? And ask the road, I guess would skull like laugh or break. What crutch can write my epitaph or pass me for the dusty thoroughfare? If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end of stride, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to croak with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if we are the grave to be ruined after this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with carabao banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had him so long suffered in his quest, heard failure prophesied so oft being risked, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who true dark powers search to dress their step, but just to fail as they see best, and all doubtless now should I be fixed. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close. It shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its stray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, then pausing throw backward a last view over the safe road. 'Twas gone grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove. Like charter, like spurge according to their law, I propagate their climate, none to awe. You'd think a bird had been a treasure trove. No penury, inertness, and grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. In nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment fire must cure this place. Calcine its pods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh forest leaves? Bruised as to balk all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, passing their life over the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and calloped neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned along my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old times sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt them fold. An arm in mine fixed me to that place. That way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace outwent my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Faw, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast a parchment. His own band reads it. Poor traitors spit upon and his own band reads it. Poor traitors spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden low river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came, no tides congenial to the glooms. This as it frothed by, might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng, the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek, each step or feel a spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad as I'd reach other bank, now for a better country, vain presage, who are the strugglers, what wars they wage, whose savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash, toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque, what penned them there with all the plain to choose, no footsteps leading to that horrid muse. Mad brewage set to work their brains no doubt like galley slaves a Turk pits for his pastime Christians against Jews. As far as ever, and more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Coffin's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. A As far as ever from the end, not to the distance, but even not, point my footsteps further up the thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's swimming friend, sailed past with Venus' wide wings, dragon pens, that brushed my cap, perchance the guide I saw. For looking up aware I somehow grew, claiming to place all round the mountains with such names to grace, mere heights and peaks now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me solving you, how to get from there was no clearer case. Yet half I seem to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click as when the trap shuts, you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once, this was the place, those two hills crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left a tall scout mountain, dunce, daughter to dozing at the very nunce, after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the tall scout mountain, the brown squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking out points to the shipman thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers start. Not see, when noise, not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere, it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost, one moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me. For one more picture in a sheet of flame, I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slughorn to my lips I sat and blew. Child Roland to a dark tower came. I sort of messed that one up, but oh well. My first batch is almost done. Almost done, dunners. One day God said, this is what I'll do. I'll send down my son, I'll send him down to you to clear up this humpity-bumpity hullabaloo. His name will be Christ and he'll never wear shoes, and his friends will all call him the King of the Jews. Yeah, Robert Browning. Robert Browning. He's definitely one of my favorite poets of all time. He's a Victorian poet. I took a university course, and he was one of my favorite poets in that course. It was a Victorian literature Victorian literature. Yeah, I think that was the name of the course. It was a 400 level course at University of Calgary. These are pretty good bagels. Looking pretty good. Jiro dreams of sushi. I don't get that reference. Jiro dreams of sushi. Is that a show? Movie show? Like TV show? Hero? I don't know. Oh, it's a doc. Oh, I should check it out. I'll look it up. I love any kind of food documentary. Love that stuff, especially like travel. You know, Anthony Bourdain is he was an absolute genius. Or I've been watching like food shows on Twitch. I love the food channel on Twitch is awesome. There's this guy that like he cooks in the style of 17th century Americans, and it's like I love it. I don't know if I'd eat the food, but I eat some of his dishes. But some of them it's just I don't know, a lot of organ meat and stuff like that. Something I'm not used to eating. Got one batch out of the oven and 3 in the oven, and we got 1 in the pot. And I'm gonna go make myself a cup of tea. That batch is almost ready, I do believe. Oh, and all I ate this morning was yogurt. I had like 1 little tiny cup of yogurt, and I'm starving right now. I need to eat something else. I'm gonna have lox this morning. Lox and cream cheese. One of my favorite. This is this morning's first bagel. Sesame. It's not too bad. That was my first batch. Okay. Hello, welcome to the stream.